beyond maybe say church attendance, how do we demonstrate this? How should Christians demonstrate this sacrifice that is the story of the whole Christ event?
Well, it's a very tricky question you are asking, because on the one hand, we live in modern economies in which people must make a living. And those who work must be rewarded for their labor. Even the Bible prescribes that you don't muzzle the ox, So even those who work must be rewarded for their labor, and it will amount to abuse of human rights and also infringe on labor laws if people work for you and you don't pay them the way they are supposed to be paid. However, there are various ways in which we are also invited to sacrifice on behalf of one another. So, for example, Jesus told his disciples something. He said, freely you have received, and so freely give. That does not necessarily mean, for example, if I'm interpreting that in contemporary terms, it doesn't mean that when a minister of the gospel preaches or when he does any ministerial work, he shouldn't be paid. If the person is not paid, how does the person feed his or her family? But even within the context of working for your daily bread, you undergo all kinds of sacrifices. One of the critical things at the heart of Jesus' ministry, which he consciously drummed home to the disciples, is this element in discipleship called self-denial. And as I said at the beginning, self-denial has implications for how you live your faith, but it also has implications for how you live in community. So, for example, let's take that you are a Christian and you are in politics. The way to sacrifice is not to abuse the system. You don't take what is not due you. And sometimes even things that we are supposed to do gratis, we put value on it. The tendency to put monetary value on everything is a very Western capitalist approach to modern economy. And it has its good sides, but in a lot of cases, it also impedes our sense of humanity. If you carry somebody who is unwell, critically unwell, to the hospital, and those in charge of the medical facility are insistent that certain financial commitment should be made before they touch the patient, that is taking commercialization of the healthcare too far. Or these days, there are even ministers of the gospel who sometimes may ask for financial payment and so on, even before they offer counseling services. So in situations where people are vulnerable and weak, and in situations where help must come, sometimes you have to put the help ahead of the commercial consideration. Let's say you are a doctor or a nurse, you have closed from work, you are going home. And then right at the entrance to the hospital, an accident victim has been brought in. And you know that with your experience, you know that given the condition you are seeing, if the person is not attended to quickly, a life may be lost. You have closed, you are tired. You were supposed to close, say, at 4 p.m. So if you don't work at 4:01 p.m., nobody will hold you to account. But God has also placed something in us. He has placed a certain empathetic spirit in us that enjoins us to help people in need, like the story of the Good Samaritan. So in those kinds of circumstances or situations, you sort of go the extra mile. That is what Jesus did in order to help somebody in need. So, as I keep saying, sacrifice comes into the equation depending on the situation in which we find ourselves.